Salyut 7 was a space station in low Earth orbit from April 1982 to February 1991. It was first manned in May 1982 with 2 crew via Soyuz T-5, and last visited in June 1986 by Soyuz T-15. Various crew and modules were used over its lifetime, including a total of 12 manned and 15 unmanned launches. Supporting spacecraft included the Soyuz T-Progress and TKS spacecraft. It was part of the Soviet Salyut program, and launched on 19 April 1982 on a Proton rocket from Site 240th at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in what was then the Soviet Union. Salyut 7 was part of the transition from monolithic to modular space stations, acting as a test bed for docking of additional modules and expanded station operations. It was the 10th space station of any kind launched. Salyut 7 was the last space station of the Salyut program, which was replaced by Mir. Description: Salyut 7 was the backup vehicle for Salyut 6 and very similar in equipment and capabilities. With delays to the Mir program, it was decided to launch the backup vehicle as Salyut 7. In orbit, the station suffered technical failures, though it benefited from the improved payload capacity of the visiting Progress and Soyuz craft and the experience of its crews, who improvised many solutions. It was aloft for 8 years and 10 months, during which time it was visited by 10 crews constituting 6 main expeditions and 4 secondary flights. The station also saw 2 flights of Svetlana Savitskaya, making her the second woman in space since 1963 and the first to perform an EVA, during which she conducted metal cutting and welding alongside her colleague Vladimir Dzhanabekov. Aside from the many experiments and observations made on Salyut 7, the station also tested the docking and use of large modules with an orbiting space station. The modules were called Heavy Cosmos modules, though in reality were variants of the TKS spacecraft intended for the cancelled Almaz military space station. They helped engineers develop technology necessary to build Mir equipment. It had 2 docking ports, one on either end of the station, to allow docking with the Progress unmanned resupply craft, and a wider front docking port to allow safer docking with the Heavy Cosmos module. It carried 3 solar panels, 2 in lateral and 1 in dorsal longitudinal positions, but they now had the ability to mount secondary panels on the sides. Internally, the Salyut 7 carried electric stoves, a refrigerator, constant hot water and redesigned seats at the command console. 2 portholes were designed to allow ultraviolet light in, to help kill infections. The medical, biological and exercise sections were improved to allow long stays in the station. The BSD-1M telescope used in Salyut 6 was replaced by an X-ray detection system. Crews and missions. Following up the use of Cosmos 1267 on Salyut 6, the Soviets launched Cosmos 1443 on the 2nd of March 1983, from a Proton SL-13. It docked with the station on the 10th of March, and was used by the crew of Soyuz T-9. It jettisoned its recovery module on the 23rd of August, and re-entered the atmosphere on the 19th of September. Cosmos 1686 was launched on the 27th of September 1985, docking with the station on the 2nd of October. It did not carry a recovery vehicle, and remained connected to the station for use by the crew of Soyuz T-14. 10 Soyuz T-crews operated in Salyut 7. Only 2 Intercosmos guest cosmonauts worked in Salyut 7. The first attempt to launch Soyuz T-10 was aborted on the launch pad when a fire broke out at the base of the vehicle. The payload was ejected, and the crew was recovered safely. Resident crews. Salyut 7 had 6 resident crews. The first crew, Anatoly Berezovoy and Valentin Lebedev, arrived on 13 May 1982 on Soyuz T-5 and remained for 211 days until 10 December 1982. On 27 June 1983, a crew of Vladimir Lyakov and Alexander Alexandrov arrived on Soyuz T-9 and remained for 150 days, until 23 November 1983. On 8 February 1984, Leonid Kizm, Vladimir Solovyov and Oleg Atkov began a 237-day stay, the longest on Salyut 7, which ended on 2 October 1984. Vladimir Dzhanabekov and Viktor Savinik arrived at the space station on 6 June 1985. On 17 September 1985, Soyuz T-14 docked with the station carrying Vladimir Vasyutin, Alexander Volkov and Georgy Greco. 8 days later, Dzhanabekov and Greco left the station and returned to Earth after 103 days, while Savinik, Vasyutin and Volkov remained on Salyut 7 and returned to Earth on 21 November 1985 after 65 days. On 6 May 1986, Soyuz T-15 carrying Leonid Kizm and Vladimir Solovyov docked with the space station and undocked after a 50-day stay. On 25 June 1986, the Soyuz had come from the Mir space station and returned to Mir on 26 June 1986 in a flight lasting 29 hours. There were also 4 visiting missions crews which came to bring supplies and make shorter duration visits with the resident crews. Technical and crew problems. The station suffered from 2 major problems, the first of which required extensive repair work to be performed on a number of EVAS leaks. On 9 September 1983, during the stay of Vladimir Lyakov and Alexander Alexandrov, while reorienting the station to perform a radio wave transmission experiment, Lyakov noticed the pressure of one fuel tank was almost zero. Following this, Alexandrov spotted a fuel leak looking through the aft porthole. Ground control decided to try to repair the damaged pipes in what was to be the most complex repair attempted during EVA at the time. This was to be attempted by the next crew, the current one lacking the necessary training and tools. The damage was eventually repaired by Leonid Kizm and Vladimir Solovyov, who after 4 EVAS managed to fix 2 leaks but needed a special tool to fix the third. The tool was delivered by Soyuz T-12, and the leak was subsequently fixed. Loss of power. On the 11th of February 1985, contact with Salyut 7 was lost. The station began to drift, and all systems shut down. At this time the station was uninhabited, after the departure of Leonid Kizm, Vladimir Solovyov and Oleg Atkov, and before the next crew arrived. It was once again decided to attempt to repair the station, which was performed by Vladimir Dzhanabekov and Viktor Savinik on the Soyuz T-13 mission, in what was, in the words of author David S.F. Portree, one of the most impressive feats of in-space repairs in history. All Soviet and Russian space stations were equipped with automatic rendezvous and docking systems. For the first space station Salyut 1 using the IGLA system, to the Russian orbital segment of the International Space Station using the Kurs system. Upon their arrival, the 6th of June, the Soyuz crew found the station was not broadcasting radar or telemetry for rendezvous, and after arrival and external inspection of the tumbling station, the crew judged proximity using handheld laser rangefinders. Dzhanabekov piloted his ship to intercept the forward port of Salyut 7 and matched the station's rotation. After hard docking to the station and confirming the station's electrical system was dead, Dzhanibekov and Savinik sampled the station atmosphere prior to opening the hatch. Attired in winter fur-lined clothing, they entered the station to conduct repairs. The fault was eventually found to be an electrical sensor that determined when the batteries need charging. Once the batteries were replaced, the station started charging them, and warmed up over the next few days. Within a week, sufficient systems were brought back online to allow robot cargo ships to dock with the station. Crew hallucination. According to some internet sites, on the 12th of July 1984, cosmonauts Leonid Kizim, Vladimir Solovyov and Oleg Atkov were on the 155th day aboard the Salyut 7 when the trio started to group hallucinate, seeing what was described as a brilliant orange cloud surrounding the station. The hallucination was reported to ground control, and the crew was subject to psychological and medical examinations upon the return. The Russian website Pravda.ru published that the cosmonauts officially reported the group hallucination, which was attributed to pressure, temperature fluctuations and shortage of oxygen to the brain. The origin of the history is, however, the satirical newspaper Weekly World News, a publication famous for publishing hoaxes and fake news. End of life. Salyut 7 was last inhabited in 1986 by the crew of Soyuz T-15, who ferried equipment from Salyut 7 to the new Mir space station. Between 19 and the 22nd of August 1986, engines on Cosmos 1686 boosted Salyut 7 to a record high mean orbital altitude of 475 kilometers to forestall re-entry until 1994. Retrieval at a future date by a Buran shuttle was also planned. However, unexpectedly high solar activity in the late 1980s and early 1990s increased atmospheric drag on the station and sped its orbital decay. It finally underwent an uncontrolled re-entry on the 7th of February 1991 over the town of Kapitan Bermudez after it overshot its intended entry point, which would have placed its debris in uninhabited portions of the southern Pacific Ocean. Expeditions and visiting spacecraft. Expeditions spacewalks specifications. Specifications of the baseline 1982 Salyut 7 module from Mir hardware: heritage length about 16 meters, maximum diameter 4.15 meters, habitable volume 90 cubic meters, weight at launch 19,824 kilogram. Launch vehicle, Proton rocket, orbital inclination 51.6 degrees. Span across solar arrays 17 meters. Area of solar arrays 51 square meters. Number of solar arrays 3. Electricity available 4.5 kilowatts. Resupply carriers, Soyuz T-Progress TKS spacecraft. Docking system IGLA manual approach. Number of docking ports 2. Total manned missions 12. Total unmanned missions 15. Total long duration missions 6. Number of main engines 2. Main engine thrust 300 kg. Visiting spacecraft and crews. Soyuz T-5, the 13th of May, the 27th of August 1982, Anatoly Berezovoi, Valentin Lebedev. Soyuz T-6, the 24th of June, the 2nd of July 1982, into Cosmos flight Vladimir Dzhanibekov, Alexander Ivanchenkov, Jean-Luc Crétin, France. Soyuz T-7, the 19th of August, the 10th of December 1982, Leonid Popov, Alexander Serebrov, Svetlana Savitskaya. Soyuz T-8, 20 to 22 April 1983, failed docking Vladimir Titov, Gennady Strekalov, Alexander Serebrov. Soyuz T-9, the 27th of June, the 23rd of November 1983, Vladimir Lyakov, Alexander Alexandrov. Soyuz T-10-1, the 26th of September 1983, launch abort Vladimir Titov, Gennady Strekalov. Soyuz T-10, the 8th of February, the 11th of April 1984, Leonid Kizim, Vladimir Solovyov, Oleg Atkov. TKS 3-4, March the 14th of August 1983, launched unmanned as Cosmos 1443. Soyuz T-11, the 3rd of April, the 2nd of October 1984, into Cosmos flight Yuri Malyshev, Gennady Strekalov, Rakesh Sharma, India. Soyuz T-12, 17–29 July 1984, Vladimir Dzhanabekov, Svetlana Savitskaya, Igor Falk. Soyuz T-13, the 6th of June, the 26th of September 1985, Vladimir Dzhanabekov, Viktor Savanik. Soyuz T-14, the 17th of September, the 21st of November 1985, Vladimir Vasutin, Georgy Greco, Alexander Volkov. TKS-4, September 1985, the 7th of February 1991, launched unmanned as Cosmos 1686. Featured a high-resolution photo apparatus and optical sensor. Experiments. Soyuz T-15, the 13th of March, the 16th of July 1986, also visited Mir Leonid Kizim, Vladimir Solovyov.